It's time once again for another episode of the Buckhead Business Show. Being brought to you by the Buckhead Business Association. Broadcasting live from the Pro Business Channel studios in Atlanta. And now, here's your host for today's episode.
Hey, good morning. We're getting a countdown on the day today. We're getting some great guests in the studio. Rich Casanova and Michael Moore here for the Buckhead Business Association on the Pro Business Channel at the Buckhead Business Radio, half hour. So we're going to be bringing some super guests to you today. We were going to talk about getting ready and being ready to go fully forward in the next year. Rich, you had some words of wisdom for us today. What are those words of wisdom?
We were talking before the show, the idea of good news, bad news. And
yeah,
so
they got two quotes, and they kind of fit together perfectly.
But we preferred the latter, which said, the bad news is, the good news is, I'm sorry, the good news is there is no bad news.
He did remember both of those. And what was the other one? Other side of that? Well, you can probably ad-lib that and figure it out. We are not going to make both of those be bumper stickers, are we?
Well, for $1.50, yeah, and the right donation, yeah.
Well, that's right. And we're here in the $1 million studios, but
our $1 billion Buckhead view.
They moved $1 billion.
Yeah,
because there are more buildings selling every day, and nothing's worth just $1 million.
I know,
anymore.
right? Exactly. If you're just a millionaire, you're like every other guy. Yeah.
Sam Massell says, buy a good little piece of Buckhead, take good care of it, and one day you'll sell it, and it'll take real good care of you. Matter of fact, I think he's in Europe right now, traveling and doing that. So.
On his honeymoon,
on his honeymoon,
extended honeymoon, yeah.
Yeah, well, his bride put their updated photo in the somewhere in Spain a couple of days ago. So she's living the good life with that travel agent she married.
So shout out to our listeners in Madrid, because we are live streaming around the world.
That's right.
On Periscope and other platforms.
And also in New York, because they pass back through. Wave to Sam. Wave to Sam. Well, this morning we've got Ples Bruce, who is an entrepreneur extraordinaire and also a Naval Academy graduate, which is always good to have. And we've got Bob Matson, who is Mr. LinkedIn for the north half of Atlanta.
I'm telling you.
I don't think that's a contested title, but he's going to tell us about that today. And Ples is going to share some ideas with us about the process of being in business properly. I think he's going to educate us with a couple of ideas about things like texting and mobile websites and all that. And then, of course, Bob's going to wrap up at the end with some really ways to get your name and your information out in front of people so they pay attention to you and contact you after they know a little bit, so they're not saying, hey, how you doing, buddy? That's kind of old conversation. It doesn't do a whole bunch of good for anyone, including Bell anymore, because they don't charge by the word. So let's roll that this morning and get ready for the Buckhead Business Show. And we're going to have Ples Bruce, who's going to tell us a little about himself. And then we're going to roll into a couple of thoughts about the fact of how you build yourself a customer engagement system, and then what on earth do you do with it once you built it. So Ples, tell us a little bit about why you're here today and what you've been doing lately.
Well, sure. Well, thanks, Michael. It's always a pleasure and a privilege to be here in your presence and also be here in the studio. I always enjoy the conversation and get a chance to share with the folks who are listening to this a little bit more about me, but also about what I'm up to and how I can help hopefully impart some things today that are going to help them going into 2017. It's unbelievable. I think that we are here in a spot where it seems as if I was just talking about the year 2000 and how everybody was sort of in an uproar about, well, are we going to survive because
Y2K?
Y2K. I mean, that was I know for all you folks maybe don't know what Y2K is. Maybe with dating self just a little bit. However, I think it'll resonate with a lot of the other people who can understand what that was like and how the world seemed to be sort of coming to an end. Well, here we are 16 years later, getting ready to go into 2017, and obviously the world is full bore. I mean, there's like no stopping what's happening today. As a matter of fact, information is doubling every 2 or 3 years now, they're saying. As far
I
as
thought it was 2 or 3 minutes.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about the whole picture of everything from video to audio and everything. So, the question was posed, what are we doing in 2017? Well, hopefully, based on an old adage that I heard a long time ago, that you're going to not be doing in 2017 what you're doing today. Because if you had accomplished all your goals today, you wouldn't be listening to this radio station. Matter of fact, you'd be living on the beach somewhere or wherever your paradise is. That's what you would be. So obviously that means in 2017, we've got to do some things differently than what we're doing right now if we want something different in the next year. So you mentioned earlier about a customer engagement system, Michael. I think that is paramount for small businesses. I mean, I have a background, as you mentioned, went to Annapolis Naval Academy, so I served in the military, which was an honor for me. And I also got a chance then to be recruited and go into corporate America and learn all about this thing called systems. And the military has systems too, because that's how they can have young people with very not a lot of degree of technical education be running their ships and their missile systems and all their engagement systems, because they have a system. And for you folks who are out there that maybe are familiar with that word but never heard it really in an entrepreneurial way, system, it stands for save yourself time, energy, and money. SYSTEM, save yourself time, energy, and money. And so that's why the military has, maybe arguably, some people may say they don't save a lot of money, but they do have systems in place to help them operate more efficiently. And business, big business, does the same thing. So a lesson to be learned, and there's a lot of lessons to be learned from big business. One of them is that any business or organization, if they want to get things done, they've got to have systems in place. And customer engagement system is paramount in 2017, just as it was in 2016. So that's what I'm talking about, Michael. That's what I'm sharing with people.
Well, you talked about the military and the process of building the system, and you've got to start from the very bottom of training. So you've got to layer things. If you don't, you can't put the icing on before you bake the cake, can you?
No. Well, I've seen some people try that, but it doesn't work very well.
That's upside down cake. They have a name for those, and it's not quite what you expect from the picture if you do it incorrectly. So let's take a moment and talk about some of the portions of the processes and the things that might be used to build a customer engagement system. Most of us think about, who are we going to talk to next about being with us in business? What's the most important part? Is it the employee and staying in communication? Is it doing the product? Or is it really delivering to the customer? What is really the important part of business?
Well, I think it's all, as you just stated, those are many components, and they're all intertwined and interrelated. I've worked for a number of companies and had my own businesses also. But something from the best leaders of those companies that I've worked for, I've heard this over and over again. They'd always say, if you're in business, what you need to do is take care of your employees, because if you take care of your employees, they'll take care of your customers, and your customers will take care of your shareholders. So that's how the circle is closed. If people are in business, whether you're a business of 2 or a business of 1,000, if you're taking care of your people, making sure you've got the best people working with you, and then you serve them by making sure that they're taken care of, they will take care of the customer. I think people sometimes talk about customer service, but typically customer service, I should say bad customer service, I believe is a direct correlation to maybe how those people are feeling in that job where they are. If they're not feeling great about what's going on, they're not going to treat you very well because they're disgruntled. And some employers don't understand that connection, because if you take care of those folks, I believe they will take care of your customers, and your customers will have a great reason to keep coming back. And that's why you want repeat business, because the statistics are out there that 80% of ongoing businesses profit are made by the 20% of returning customers that they have coming back all the time.
So there's an old pesky 80-20 rule again.
Yeah, it's pesky for a reason.
It keeps showing up, popping up. Well, I know you've kind of broken your approach to what you're doing in business down in 3 major areas. One being the mobile,
yes,
and one being the social side, and the other being obviously the CRM is how you tie all that stuff together. So let's talk a little bit about mobile engagement for customers. What does that look like from your perspective?
Well, that's an excellent question and an excellent point you made, because it is part of a system, all those 3 components you mentioned. And if anyone can understand anything about the future, it's not like necessarily the past. So, we learn from the past so that we don't repeat the mistakes, but we can do better in the future. And going into 2017, there's 3 specific areas, I believe, and based on my experience, my interactions with a lot of individuals and businesses, is that you got to have 3 components in your customer engagement system. You have to have a mobile component, as you mentioned, Michael, and you also have to have a social component, and you have to have what's called CRM, which is customer relationship management. And you may say, wow, that's a lot to be doing. Well, in this day and time, a lot's expected from business owners and companies to basically satisfy their customers. And if you aren't doing things to make yourself stand out from the crowd, then you become like the crowd. And as a result, people don't notice you. That's why the major leaders in all markets are people who stand out because of their service levels, because of their variety, because of their pricing. It's something that they stand out at. and separates them from everyone else, and that's why they're leaders in many instances in those areas. So again, if mobile is, I'd say today in time is almost leading the pack, because you can do so much on a mobile device. You can have a system that engages your customers from beginning to end and makes them feel, again, special with you, and that's what you want to do. Every customer, we all want to feel special, don't we?
Well, everybody's got that little kind of mobile device in their hand. It might be an iPad. I mean, look in this room today. We've got 5 people, and I bet we have somewhere close to 10 mobile devices near us, with us, or telling us what's going on around us. So, talk a little bit about what kind of tools are people are using, and 2017 is is unlike any other year behind us, and certainly every year we're going to get more and more specialized. So, talk about some of the things you see people focusing on next year.
Well, sure. Well, in the mobile platform, we call it a platform, because it is a way for you to push different solutions through it. But there's 3 major areas in there, I'd say, and they're very effective areas. I mean, when you as far as in customer engagement, that actually gets results as far as people interacting with you. One of them is called text marketing. Now, people text all the time, right? Well, true. However, there's also a part to it for business to basically engage with customers. And there's so many sophisticated systems today that they can use to make sure that they keep a pulse on their customer. I heard someone recently say, or reiterate something I knew already, was that the time to know what your customer liked or didn't like about you is not the time when they're exiting and they're going to a competitor.
Well, the exit briefing for customers is more painful every day.
Absolutely. So you want to engage with customers on an ongoing basis so that you prevent them from leaving, because you're checking the pulse all along the path. So text marketing is very sophisticated. It's simple, but it's highly sophisticated, can be highly targeted, and can be very valuable. The second part, I would say, for everyone, if there's this company out here called Google, now the parent company is called Alphabet. You may or may not have ever heard of them. However, I would say that they have and such an important effect on what we do when it comes to mobile devices and pretty much in the cloud. Well, they changed their algorithm a couple of years ago. You may or may not know this, but they now have a way of testing every site that's on a mobile phone. And if you search for something, say you want to know the local pizzeria in your area, and they reach out the time that you type those words into the search bar, and before they show you anything, they go out and they run through their algorithm, and any site that's not a pleasure to be on and a great customer experience will not appear in their search engine. Why? Because Google doesn't want anyone to associate their search engine with a bad result. So they're taking it into their own hands to police that. So there's an actual site for that, and we can make that available later where you can test your site out. But if you're on a mobile device, then everything you do with search optimization, unless you're paying a lot of money to be on the space, will not be shown. So that's an area you have to pay attention to. And the third one is going to be your mobile app. Now, mobile apps tend to be in the past something that only the uber wealthy could afford, because these are the huge companies that actually did a lot of things. But now the prices diminished somewhat, because we've been able to modularize a lot of the part of putting up an app together. As a result, now we can make it a lot more affordable, but the efficiency and the effectiveness of it hasn't diminished. So that means that anyone who's, in any number of different industries and fields, consulting, arts, fitness, you need to have a way to connect directly with that customer on an app, because you can drive so much information, more so than a website, more so than email, and more so than anything else.
So I've heard mobile websites, I've heard texting, and I've heard kind of two-way communication. And boy, I was not aware that Big Brother, Little Brother, and Google was watching everything we did on our phones. That's a little bit scary. Well, we're talking about the process of how you to look at things. I did have Rich is great at coining new phrases. I want to coin one today, if I may. And I sat here and listened to you say CRM, customer relationship management. I want to pose today to the group, and let's focus on a minute. It's not really customers, because it's really just continuing relationship management, because we don't know where our next customer is going to be or where they're going to come from, because as you said, we've got to be providing the right kind of information. What kind of information do you feel is important to draw? And we're going to hold a long discussion to something else, but talk about some of the quote items of information you feel like it's important for systems to start gathering on those continued relationships that we want to develop.
Sure. Well, you obviously want to know those demographics, which are very important to you.
Those 26, are they short, are they tall? Yeah. Are they wide, are they narrow?
Absolutely. I mean, you want to know, who your person is, because you can't see them physically. However, based on the information they supply to you, you can get a pretty good picture of who they are and what their habits are, whether it's a habit from a standpoint of buying something or how they feel about relaying to others what they encounter. Testimonials have become tremendously large now in the way people are looking to make the buying decisions or decisions about who they may want to have a relationship with. So if you have some people who are outspoken and like to contribute, well, maybe those are the kind of folks you need to stay close to, because they've already raised their hand and say, I don't have any problem sharing my opinions on what you do or what you sell. And so that's why that's an area where it's a double-edged sword. I mean, you welcome those, and you may get some that may not excite you a couple times, but you need to engage those folks, and it's a great way to be able to identify them. So you're right. I mean, there's a lot of information that can be gleaned in a very non-intrusive way about what your customers are really wanting. And I mean by customers, not only your I think if you look at everyone as a customer, whether they're a customer or not yet or not, then you develop things that maybe pull them in, even though they're not a customer. You have to make them a customer, and then they just have a customer rung that you put them on.
Yep. Where I was going with that to some degree is amazing how many companies do not keep their vendors and their partners informed at the same level they keep their clients or customers or suspects informed. It's amazing. Well, we're going to take a little bit of a break here before we get into the other side of the social, which I want to make a part where Bob's going to give us some help, but also want to look at how you may stay engaged with people and how you may see people. We're moving up on the holiday season, although we tend not to slow down yet, but a lot of people have already started slowing down here. So, Rich, you've been in a lot of great events this last couple of weeks, and I know that a lot of great things are coming on here in the north part of Buckhead. So give us a little idea of some of the things we need to be looking at.
Well, speaking of events, I'm going to put Plus back on the mic in just a second to give a plug for his event. We're actually teaming here with the Pro Business Channel, Pro Business Events, and for our Net Social Atlanta event. And you have an event just at the same venue we work immediately prior to our event. Yeah.
Correct. I mean, just great minds think alike. So, and even though we weren't necessarily planning, it worked out well, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, we planned it. Some people in the room had thought about that before.
Well, yes, as Rich mentioned, on December the 14th, we're having a Network Over 40. That's networkover40.com event at WeWork in Buckhead in Atlanta, Georgia. And our event will start approximately about 4 p.m. in the afternoon, because that is about a week before Christmas. And, there's a lot of things happening in Buckhead. We want to get ahead a little bit of the traffic. But we're going to go through up to about 6:30. And then Rich has an overlapping event, as he mentioned.
Yeah, we'll go 6:30 to 9 with the Net Social Atlanta. And you can find out for both of those events at just probusinessevents.com.
That's right.
And then other events, obviously, for the Buckhead Business Association, every Thursday morning, breakfast at the City Club.
At the City Club, bright and early, 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Be there. You'll learn something neat, cool, and fresh, different.
And then on the third Thursday evening, they do an after-hours mixer. So,
and the Christmas party will be super special. So go to buckheadbusiness.org. That's buckheadbusiness.org. Take a look at the calendar, and I hope to see you there. We're very proud that BBA has been in Buckhead for 65 years. And it's a great place to be and develop relationships, as we talked about. But there's short, small, wide, and narrow people are all there. So come see us any Thursday morning. So now let's roll over to
a little bit wider after the holidays.
A little bit wider after. Maybe some of them heavier, not only wider but some heavier as well. Those pecan pies that they serve. No, never mind. Anyway, well, we got Bob Matson here today, and Bob is one of those experts out there who is very special, and he's been working for a number of years in the LinkedIn arena. So as we talk about social media, the one opportunity is when people come look at you, what do they see? Because Ples mentioned you can't always see people. But the LinkedIn platform has been very good for a lot of folks to build their credentials. It's a lot of good places to learn about people, so you don't spend that time saying, hey, how you doing and how was the weekend? Because if you know where they went to school, you know they may be going to the Army-Navy game soon. If you know where they went to school, they may be looking for a national championship. Or they may just be a good old Presbyterian if you look at their website. So, Bob, tell us a little bit about what you've been doing and why you're in the LinkedIn arena and what that's been meaning to you over the last few years.
Well, Michael, thanks for having me here this morning. It's great to be here with Rich and also with Plus this morning and to talk a little bit about some of my experiences in LinkedIn. I joined LinkedIn when it was under 1 million people. I engaged in doing social media back then. And the number I saw yesterday was over 450 million people now engaged on LinkedIn. So
that's just in your contacts, yeah.
Not yet, but we can talk about yours in just a second, Rich. But as Ples said, a little bit about how things change, and I like to talk about the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And I've seen a lot of people come to LinkedIn, post their profile, and then never make any changes, never do any evaluation to it. And that's one of the worst things that you can do, especially now the fact that Microsoft has taken over the ownership of LinkedIn. One, they say they'll keep it just the same, but we've all heard that story before.
And you know how they're when their lips move, they're lying, right?
Well, when you believe in the Tooth Fairy and you believe in the Easter Bunny and a few other things, you might believe that story. But I believe most of us, and the reason I hold myself out not to be an expert on LinkedIn is because it is constantly changing. I think you want to make sure that you're monitoring what's happening with your LinkedIn profile and monitoring what other people are doing to their profile as well, too.
Right.
And
so what are some of the major changes? I know that since Microsoft took on the moniker about 4 or 5 months ago, I guess, back in the summertime, what have you seen that people aren't doing that they need to be focused on? And here during the holiday season, they need to spend a little time cleaning up their Christmas wrap, right?
Well, cleaning up and sometimes expanding and making it, I like to use that expression very carefully, Michael, and it's a good point, is that we talked about the word picture just a few minutes ago. And so generally what happens is that when we're small children, we're looking for that gift underneath the tree, we go to the prettiest gift that's under there. May not be the biggest or best or the most expensive, but as small children, we're attracted to the prettiest or the most attractive, things of that nature. And so we're doing the same thing here when we look at your LinkedIn profile. How can I make it more attractive? Now, that may sound like we're all visually oriented, which I think Plus is pointing out, but we are. And so from that standpoint...
Well, my screen is in color. I'm paying attention.
And that's true. And I used a black and white picture for a long time because I was unique in using a black and white picture. But, we use our host, Rich Casanova here, and using his profile, which I'm assuming most of the listeners have LinkedIn with Rich through LinkedIn.
But he has sparkly ears.
He has sparkly ears. And the thing I ask for about people doing on their profile first and foremost is putting a sparkly face on that profile. And people who've met Rich and you and Plus at different networking events have seen that sparkly face and that sparkly smile. Wow. It's hard to get that one out this
There's
morning.
There's a lot of S's in there.
Yeah, it's too many S's. But they're
Smarkly. That's my new name.
Smarkly.
Yeah.
They were.
Smarkly would be a good one. But yeah, always have that smile in your profile picture. But also be aware that most people are looking for a headshot. Now, Rich has got a little different shot on his profile. He's got himself in the studio, which is unique that he can do that because he's got the props available to him. So if you can, it's a great asset to use. But a lot of us don't. So try to keep it at that face and keep consistency in that face. Some of us guys grow some facial hair. Some of us ladies change our hair colors. But we see each other at different Christmas parties or holiday parties this year. We want to have that same consistency. Current especially, sometime in the last 18 months, because we all have, as you said, electronic devices. We can take current pictures, and we may even take a holiday picture from that standpoint in a new outfit.
What about these people that put their picture of themselves as a kid on there or whatever? That's really...
Rich, I like that one because I had a gentleman who was looking for a job sometime recently, and he was an attorney down at the beach, and he was in a bathing suit. And I was just a little taken back by that he didn't look very serious to me. He was wanting a part-time job, not a full-time job.
Maybe you're Jimmy Buffett or something or whatever.
Yeah, Jimmy Buffett could be there with these sharks in the fins. But
Jimmy can have his margarritas.
He can do whatever Jimmy wants. Yeah.
Remember, just before your 50th reunion, it's a good idea to put your high school annual picture back on there. Bob just took a leave of absence here.
First time in this chair and actually leave.
We have that remote control you have for our first guest. Welcome to Pro Business Channel, Bob.
Well, Bob, in the last 6 months, I know you pride yourself in keeping people up to date. I know you've worked with some pretty interesting folks, although it's not special. What are your tips of the month for people to think about during December? Because we're about just a few days away. What should they be doing?
The biggest tip I can give you right now to be working on over the holidays is endorsements.
Endorsements, okay.
LinkedIn has been working on this particular feature for about 3 years now, and it looks like now that they've got the support from Microsoft, they're going to be able to maximize the use of this particular analytics they've been capturing for quite some time. So if you've had some endorsements, you can do around 50 to 75 different subjects, customer relationship management or continuous relationship management.
Right.
Whatever CRM you'd like to use, definition, but making sure that you're having those top 5 items that are skill sets to you that you want people to be focused on and getting those 99 plus endorsements that you're able to get.
99 plus?
Well, LinkedIn's always had some restrictions on what they could do from a coding, I guess plus would be the right word to use from that standpoint. So they have some things that have been around for over 10 years that they can't change, but that's one of them. So you're only going to be able to get up to 99 plus showing on the number of endorsements. And another thing I'd also suggest, too, is the people who have endorsed you, that they have a live, pretty colored picture, not just that silhouette headset on their profile because it makes your profile look a little less colorful. And we all want to look like the Mona Lisa, have that beautiful smile and those beautiful colors that are in our
So
picture.
how do I get Rich's endorsement off my? No.
Well, it's kind of difficult. You just get another 50 to show up in front of him,
right.
and then he gets pushed to the back. But I'm also saying is some of your skill sets have changed because that's what we've talked about. I think the focus here this morning has been about change. And so some of your skill sets are a little more attractive to the audience that you're trying to move into or attract. Move those skill sets up. You can cut and drag. Everybody thinks that they're alphabetized and will stay in order, and they're not. Just go into the edit mode and move them up and down. And if you've had some new things like Plus has done with mobile apps and things of that nature, you can move that to the top and start getting more endorsements.
The main thing I think I'm hearing you say is take 1 or 2 or 3 steps back and look at your profile like someone else might look at it, and begin to make adjustments. Right now in this season of the year, I tell people every year, this is the most important time to be out in the marketplace. Forget the gift, forget the holiday shopping. Everybody will forgive you if you forget their gift at the holiday. But go out and see the people you're only going to see once a year and see what they're doing. I mean, as you said, change a picture, ask for somebody to endorse you, communicate to folks that you can only see once a year. And go back and do something special for them to make them take a notice and actually follow up with a phone call. I mean, we still do use phones, don't we? Don't we have one? Yeah.
We have these mobile devices.
We have that mobile device, so you can make the phone call anywhere you want to make it from. But connect with folks that you haven't connected with. Look at their profile. Maybe you can give them a hint, or maybe you can ask them for a hint if theirs looks unusually good.
And you can send seasoned greetings.
Oh,
so a lot of your people are overseas and out of the general Atlanta area. So make sure that you can use LinkedIn as a contact management system as well as just a reference point.
As a continuing relationship system.
Exactly.
Right. So, Bob, how do people get in touch with you if they want to reach out and find you during this holiday season?
I think the easiest way is just to Google Bob Matson at LinkedIn, and you'll find my profile, and send me an invite, and let's connect and see how I can help you in your profile and do your marketing for you.
So, Bob, whisper this answer. How many contacts in LinkedIn do you have?
A little over 16,000 direct.
Whoa.
It's crazy.
See, I think every one of those 16,000 are going to want a personal thing from you. So, Bob Matson at LinkedIn, that's an easy way to find him. A simple Google. How about a phone number in case they want to call you the old-fashioned way?
Oh, if you want to call me the old-fashioned way, that wouldn't be happening. 678-809-3697.
All right. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate you being with us. And I'm sure that after the first of the year, we're going to have you back and talk about some of the things that you've seen happen with those folks who listen to our show today.
Great. Thank you.
Good to have you again, and we'll see you also at the WeWorks, and we'll see you at all the events during the holidays because I know you get out and touch hands and shake hands.
But speaking of events, quick question for Bob. I went to one of your events a while back. Do you still do those where you host seminars and workshops on how to, in terms of LinkedIn and educating?
Setting this schedule up after the first of the year. If you'd like me to come in and talk about LinkedIn to your group or organization, please give me an invite as well.
Because you did one where it was specifically for those job seekers. You did an event for them, right?
And I've been doing those for the last several years with the Career Crossroads, especially here in the Atlanta area.
Cool.
So watch for a LinkedIn expert coming to
your account soon.
The one thing we didn't share when we were talking with Pless earlier is getting his contact info, and I also forgot to share with you, he's got a book out there you might want to look at, but also he's got a couple of ebooks coming out. So Pless, let's wrap up with your contact info and a pitch for something people can put on their coffee table and read over the holidays.
Sure. There's you can contact me also through LinkedIn at Pless, P-L-E-S. Again, P like Paul, L as in Larry, E as in Edward, S as in Sam, and my last name is Bruce, B-R-U-C-E. And you can also catch me at LinkedIn. And secondly, if you're in the continental United States, I know this will work, but maybe outside the country you can try that too. If you actually text the word mobile, M-O-B-I-L-E, again, M-O-B-I-L-E, to the short code 57711. I have a new ebook I've written called Creating Raving Fans. And you'll be happy to download that there at no charge. And also let me know what you think about it. I appreciate that.
Sounds like a stocking stuffer to me.
Yeah. And in your last book, you have a real book.
And I have another book here that we've also just completed, just come hot off the press. It's called Dominate Your Local Market. And it's the 7 must-know strategies to drive local traffic straight to your door.
Good deal.
Where do I get my autographed copy?
You can just see me after the show.
All right, gang. So we've been here in the great studios in Buckhead, looking forward to a great holiday season. We've had some information come across our airwaves today that you can certainly, if you don't use this, you probably will not get to celebrate all of the success you deserve in 2017. So, Rich, it's been great to be with you today. We appreciate the Buckhead Business Association being our co-sponsor here. And gosh, as always, thank you to the Pro Business Channel for making these kind of opportunities available to a poor country boy from Alabama like me to be in a radio station today.
And a quick plug, if you're listening and you want to be a guest on an upcoming episode, just go to buckheadbusinessshow.com. And you'll see recent episodes as well as an invitation to submit a guest request. And we'll see you on the radio next time.
We wish you a great season and enjoy. Go out and do some continuing relationship management.
Thank you for joining us and our guests on the Pro Business Channel. Use the social media links here to share today's show and stay tuned for the next.